Welcome to a sports betting podcast from pregame.com for the week of January 29th, 2010. I'm your host, RJ Bell. I'm joined by Marco D'Angelo, 30 years in the business, Vegas runner, genuine professional bettor here in Vegas, star of the CNBC special on gambling. This is segment 6 of 6. We're actually going back to Friday now, and we're looking at the Hawks and the Celtics. Okay, Vegas runner, tell us about the line moves in this game.
Okay, as we don't have an official number on this game out yet because it's being played tomorrow night, but I think it's pretty easy to come out with a line. I made the number Atlanta -4, total around 193. I don't think it's going to be off much. They've already played twice this year. The first time they were in Atlanta was a 3.5 point favorite. The total was 193, and Atlanta won and covered that game. So I think we're going to see pretty much the same thing again.
And you make a good point. I misspoke. One of the interesting things we're doing in basketball is when we do these previews far enough ahead, remember they only put the line out overnight. Correct. Usually. It's getting a little bit earlier as the years go by, but still only overnight. And what we're going to be doing is predicting the line, and then based upon the variation from our predictions, we'll speak about the game based upon the consensus between you two on what you think the line's going to be, and then we'll discuss the game that way. But if the line ends up being off significantly, then that's where the value is going to be. So Marco, what we'll do with these games without the line is, what do you put the number at?
I actually agree with Vegas runner, but there's going to be an adjustment because Boston's playing tonight. We're taping on Thursday, so they're going to be playing back-to-back games. And I have found through the years that whenever one team is rested and the other team isn't, Vegas adjusts the line about 1.5 to 2 points. So I'm looking at Atlanta probably going to come out on this game at 5, unless Boston just has a lights-out performance that everybody sees on TNT.
Okay, so again, there's always the potential caveats or variables here. What we want to do is define what we think the line's going to be, understanding if the 3 starters blow out their knees, it's going to be different. So There's a lot of possibilities. You're coming out at 5, you're coming out at 4, so we'll talk about the game as if it's 4.5. Okay, so now let's segue right into your point, and one of the things we try to do here is talk about specific games, but also talk about lessons that you can carry forward in your handicapping. Is you're talking about back-to-back in the NBA, and you're saying that's a big negative to play back-to-back. All right, so VR, clearly you agree with that. Any other thoughts about the whole back-to-back?
No, but I just think because Boston hasn't played since the 25th, while Atlanta's playing on the 27th, they're not going to have to adjust as much. If Boston was playing 3 times in 4 nights, then I think we'd see a higher adjustment. But because Boston's going to be playing on back-to-back nights, but coming off a rested week, that's why I didn't put too much consideration into that.
All right, so that's a good lesson, which is, back-to-back matters, but looking at the last 5 to 7 days matter too. Sometimes you actually get the dreaded 4 games in 5 nights, which are a lot more extreme than if you have 3 days off, then a game on Thursday and a game on Friday. And also it's the travel. So where's the game at on Thursday?
They're in Orlando, so it's not a big travel.
All right, so it's short, and that's another factor with the back-to-backs. Okay, what else jumps out at you, Marco, in this game?
Well, you've got Boston that last week Kevin Garnett returned to the lineup, so they were struggling for about a couple weeks there, playing mediocre ball. Now they got their star back. You would expect Boston to make a run now.
So when did he come back?
It was last week, midweek.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. One of your concepts is when someone gets hurt, the first game or so, the team usually performs better because they identify we got to play better, we've lost something special, and then that can only last for so long. Sometimes there seems to be a flip side to that corollary, which is
that whenever the star comes back, all those guys that were playing at a higher level kind of relax because the star's back, and generally the line is inflated the opposite way now because the star's back. And if you look,
there's an integration issue, is they got to give, and even if it's
chemistry again.
Chemistry. All right.
And that's what we've seen. Boston's now 0-5 ATS their last 5 games. The line got inflated as soon as Garnett came back. I agree with that.
And like anything else, there's ebbs and flows. Now people lost money 5 straight games, if they bet them every game. And now, lo and behold, they don't want to back them. Just when Garnett is starting to be properly integrated back into the team.
Exactly. And I agree there. That's why I have my free pick on this.
All right, so, official free pick on this one. And you, since the start of football, this isn't just cherry-picked records. From the start of football, you're 12-5.
Yes, sir.
All right, on these freebies right here, pregame.tv.
For absolutely free.
Hit us.
I love Boston in this spot. I think Atlanta has a big game Friday night. I mean, they're against San Antonio is Atlanta's big game, and I really think they're going to look to play hard in that one. It's playing against the West, where I think Boston, this is their time to show. I mean, Atlanta's beaten them 3 straight times now. They're the Achilles heel for Boston. That's what everyone's saying. This will be the year that finally Atlanta could beat Boston in a series. They've already played twice this year and Atlanta's beaten them. But that was on a 3-day weekend, if you remember. They played on like a Friday and Boston lost, and then they had to travel to Atlanta and Atlanta just beat them again. They had that momentum. This time around, I think we're seeing a Boston team that's going to come in, and this is the circled game for them. I know they're on the road trip playing in Orlando.
All right, so let me jump in a second. And I can totally agree with you that this is a statement game for Boston after, like you said, the losses against the Hawks. But you don't really think the Hawks, if they could win one of 2 games against the Spurs or against the Celtics here to make it 3-0 on the year, they prefer to win the Boston.
Oh, yeah, they're going to but I just think they're going to get physically tested more against the Spurs. I don't think we're going to get I think we're going to get a little line value here because, like Marco said, Boston's going to look like they're on a back-to-back night. But I think the Spurs are going to give Atlanta that kind of physical game where I think Boston will just have an easier time this time around. If you look, the last time they played, what happened, Atlanta got to the free throw line 33 times, where Boston, who is a team that does most of their damage in the paint, only got to the free throw line like 18 times, 15 less free throws, and that was without Garnett. I think this time around they're going to work the ball in the paint. Garnett's going to be a big part of the offense, and I just think that's enough for them to wear this team down and get the cover, if not the straight-out win.
Before I hear your response, Marco, I'm just getting into my basketball handicapping, so bear with me, guys. I'm letting you guys carry me here. When does Atlanta play the Spurs?
I got that right here. On the 27th. They just played.
So they played on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Okay, and what was the result of the game?
They lost by 15.
All right, so we don't have to speculate on that. Today's Thursday. They played on Wednesday.
They traveled. That was their travel. They had 2 road games.
So they went road against the Spurs, got beat up.
1 day rest.
Boston. And that's another interesting point too, which is that especially with even longer road trips in the NBA, that first home game is usually a little bit disruptive. You're checking the mail. The players come back, they're checking the mail. The wives want to have, Marco can relate to this, a special date night and that kind of stuff. So to me, that return game is always the least advantage for the home team. Any closing thoughts by you on this, Mark?
No, I would lean here. The value in this game is to take Boston. I'll wait and see what they do tonight to really decide if I would make a play on the game. But if playing it right now without tonight's results, situational handicapping, which is one of my strong suits, I do agree with the Boston setup that you're going to get line value here.
Official free pick, we're projecting that Boston should be plus 4.5. Okay, that's going to be it for the entire week here. Great show. We're going to be putting our early Friday games at the end of the actual audio podcast that's available at iTunes. So that way, if you're listening to this on Saturday, you can just skip the last segment if you're not interested in the Friday game. And remember, we got a new feature. Go into YouTube, make a prediction of the exact score of this game, and if you get it right, you get 100 pregame.com dollars to spend any way you want. It's free. Just make a comment in the YouTube section. You can get all of our videos at pregame.tv, and like we said, in iTunes, you can download and listen. Just search for pregame.com.